Previously on the Outdoor Gear Review. The conditions are deteriorating quickly. It's getting cold and super windy. I have to get this set up right now. This is a terrible survival product. A piece of plastic would do better. My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I am out again for a survival overnight trip. Last week, I did a survival trip with the Fjallraven Windsack 3, which turned out to be a terrible survival product. In that episode, I said that a piece of plastic would do better than that shelter. Well, it's time to put my money where my mouth is. I'm out here for a survival overnight trip with a piece of plastic. Just like last time, this is a real-world situation. This is a real-world survival event. The conditions right now are different though, and that's because you simply cannot dictate the terms when it comes to a survival trip. You can't decide what the temperature is going to be, what the precipitation is going to be, or anything like that. And that is true with this adventure. Currently, it is 35 degrees Fahrenheit, calm winds inside of the forest. On top of the mountain, it is somewhat breezy. Later on tonight, it will get down to roughly 26 degrees. The winds are supposed to pick up to around 45, and there is rain and snow on the way. Already, everyone, I can hear the winds. They're high level at the moment, but I can definitely hear them. While this trip won't be as cold as the previous, it will be nastier. Anytime that you're dealing with rain and snow, it is such a mess. There's a potential for it to be just awful. Plus, with the humidity being so high, it just goes right into your bones. As far as my gear loadout goes, it is exactly the same as last time. Absolutely nothing is different other than the piece of plastic that I have with me. I also have one other item, and I will show you that when we get to camp. This is the same area that I did the survival trip last time. The difference is I got off the main trail a while ago and I just climbed right on top of this mountain. The reason for the difference is simple: time. I am running out of time. Already, it's about 4 o'clock, it's getting dark. Instead of being 10 miles away from my vehicle, I'm roughly 5.5, something like that. I could tell already that I don't have enough time to go the full 10 miles. And currently I'm on what many refer to as a dead trail. This used to be part of a larger trail system, but it's no longer used. Concerning the trip last time, I have to say, I did have fun. I really did. It was fun. Even though it was absolutely miserable. The thing is, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to survive, it won't be too bad. It's definitely getting windier, that's for sure. With using a piece of plastic as a shelter, there are pros and cons to using it. In many ways, it will be better than the Windsack. But then again, in some ways, it will be worse. When using a piece of plastic as a shelter, it's really no different than using a tarp. But in this situation, I'm going to be a little bit creative. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to try something. This is an interesting option. It's sheltered somewhat It's flat though, it's flat. That's huge. I think this is what I'm going to take. There is a breeze coming this way, and that's okay. That's all right. Because I'm using a piece of plastic as my shelter, I need airflow. You cannot use plastic without airflow, and I'm sure you know why. Stick your head inside of a trash bag. It's the same sort of thing. Yeah, it's getting late. This is the best I've seen. This is what I'm going with. All right, everyone, let me show you all what I have here. This is a, where am I at? 9 feet by 12 feet plastic sheet. This is like a plastic drop cloth sort of thing. 2 mil, this is going to be my shelter. The additional item that I have with me are some tarp clips. So take a look at this clip. You can see the teeth, you can see this knob here. As you tighten it, the teeth go down and it grips the product, holding it in those teeth. With these clips, I can come up with a unique way to suspend this plastic sheet. Let's see if it works, everybody. I don't know. We will see. If you all remember, the Windstack cost $150. This here is less than 10 bucks. This is like $3.99. This was like $5, something like that. Talk about ultra light as well. This is 1.03 pounds, and this here, I don't know, less than a pound. So together, what we have here is a very lightweight emergency shelter. Inside of my pack, I have some cordage. I'm going to get that out and begin setting this up. I am not sure what I'm going to do at the moment. I want this to be big enough, tall enough, I mean, so that I can at least do squats in it. I don't have to stand up fully, but I need to be able to move around some. So it's 9 feet by 12 feet. Okay. Well, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to come up with something. Wish me luck. Inside of the package of these clips, we have these little bungee things. Since I have them, I will put them to use. All right, everybody, the shelter has been set up. It's good enough for tonight. The thing about an emergency shelter is that it has to be quick, it has to be fast, and it has to give you the protection that you need. I set this up in a way that worked with what I had going on here as far as the trees went and so on. Also, I didn't want to take a whole lot of time. Again, everyone, emergency shelters should be very, very quick to set up. So what I have here is an interesting form, that's for sure. I'm not sure how well that is coming through. I have a couple of tie-off points here. One at the top, one over on this side, one on that side, and it's staked out. This is a ridge line connected from this tree going over to that one, and then I've connected it to the tarp. That is the foundation for this setup. Let me go ahead and grab a headlamp and I'll show you more about this. I basically did a teepee sort of setup. Now I've done a small one. I could sit up in it, I can almost stand up in it. I could definitely do my squats, I could move around and whatnot. So you can see that I've staked it out down around the bottom. I have about 4 inches between the plastic and the ground. That's all about airflow. If you're going to use a piece of plastic as a shelter, you have to remember not to limit airflow. You have to have excellent airflow or you'll suffocate in it. This is not breathable at all. So you have to have excellent airflow. The wind is coming in from the east and it's going right underneath the bottom of this piece of plastic. It's crazy. All right. So everyone, it is substantially warmer inside of this. I'm fully protected, but at the same time, there is a good breeze. I can feel the airflow coming in, but yet it's not enough to really drop the temperature inside of this. So this is the door. right here. This is the door. The wind is blowing this direction, so it's completely protected here. So I don't feel any air coming in at all. If I need to, I could seal this up basically 100% on this side. I have enough material left over to make a functional door here. So to start off here, let's get the chair set up. Again, folks, the loadout here is exactly the same as last time. The only difference is the shelter. I should say this, everyone. I would have gone with a plastic that's thicker than 2 mil, but I had no choice. Thanks to the shortages and whatnot, you can't find nothing. So what I had at the store was 2 mil, and that's it. Otherwise, I would go with something thicker than 2 mil. But it will work for this episode. Okay. Oh yeah. Let's get the lights going. I'll get my jacket on, gloves on because it's cold, but it's not as cold as the previous trip. Not even close. This is without a doubt completely different circumstances as far as the weather goes. There's nothing I can do about it, right? As I mentioned before, you really can't dictate those aspects, so it is what it is. Overall, this is just to do a more of a proof of concept sort of thing. The Fjallraven windsack costs $150. This is 10 bucks. This is $10, everybody, 10 bucks. And I think it's going to work just as well. I do. Without a doubt, this is not as strong as a windsack. I'm not going to pretend that it is, but if you're smart with your setup, you can without a doubt use a piece of plastic. You don't have to set up something this high like I've done, but I'm fairly protected here in this area. Okay, folks, let the adventure begin. As far as the setup goes, compared to the windsack, this is easier. And that's because you can adapt this any way that you want to, the way that you want to. And with the windsack, I mean, you're super limited. There's really only a handful of tie-off points. It takes a lot of work to make that shelter fit into the environment, whereas this, I mean, it adapts so easily thanks to those clips. It just dawned on me here. It's so warm inside of this shelter. You can't even see my breath. But if we go outside, you can. It's that cold. That's pretty impressive, actually. Here we are again. Another crazy survival situation. In the previous survival adventure, I showed you all how to survive very extreme conditions. It was roughly 19 degrees, the winds were 50 miles an hour, and it was snowing. So in this episode, I'm not going to go over the same details. This is really more of a proof of concept, as I mentioned before, about how you can use something as inexpensive, as lightweight, as simple as this, and it can make a really good survival shelter. Something that's more adaptable, more flexible, and in many ways better than the Fjallraven windsack. So that's what this episode is all about. Now, the biggest difference is the temperature and the wind. It's breezy outside. It's not super windy like it was the first time. I'd say it's in the 30s right now, so it's not terribly cold. Whereas with the previous trip, a cold front was coming through. I mean, it was just nasty conditions. I think the biggest difference is that the humidity is higher now, and I can really feel it in my body. When the humidity's high, everything's just damper, so I could just feel it in my bones. And there's times where if the humidity is high enough, the temperature really doesn't have to be that low, and you could be freezing. As it stands right now, it's definitely breezy outside. This shelter is holding up very well. You can see it fluttering some, and you can hear the wind. But yeah, I'm comfortable inside of here. It's not bad at all. And I have enough room to do squats and even some push-ups. I can do push-ups tonight to stay warm. What is interesting, folks, it's actually far windier than I thought it was. This shelter is blocking so much wind, I didn't think it was really all that breezy, but now that I'm outside, it is. I mean, it's just flat out miserable out here, really. I will be honest, I haven't set up a plastic shelter since I was a kid. I used to do this all the time when I was younger. My dad did and still does construction, so there was always something, I could get my hands on and go build with. So we used to come up with all sorts of crazy shelters, gigantic pieces of plastic over fallen trees and whatnot. It was a ton of fun. It really was. So this really takes me back to those times. So those were some really, really good times for me. It's funny, anytime that I needed to get away from it all, man, I grabbed a piece of plastic and I went into the woods. That's what I did. Part of that, I have to say, was because we were so poor. We didn't have camping equipment or anything like that. So we made do with what we had. Yeah, we did. I think having a clear tint would be really, really cool. This plastic here, it's not too clear. Clear enough, but still. Just as last time, this is going to be a long night. There's no doubt about it. I will do everything I have to do to stay warm. I'll do push-ups. I'll do sit-ups. I have a snack. I'll eat that. I also have my stove and a liter of water so I can heat that up and I can keep that hot water, that warm water, next to my major arteries. That way it will warm up my blood and my heart will pump it throughout my body. If you did not see the first episode of this, go ahead and watch that because there's a ton of great information. I showed you all how to stay alive, how to survive an extreme situation with an emergency shelter. That was a wild trip, that's for sure. And this one's going to be wild as well. Already, it is very much different. And in some ways, it's even more dangerous than the previous trip. Anytime there's water, there's rain, everything's wet, that makes things more dangerous. Even more dangerous than simply being cold, icy, and snowy. Anytime there's water, rain, wetness, things are dangerous. Folks, I have a story to tell you all. This is pretty funny. This took place last week after the survival trip. I was on my way home. I had hiked back to my vehicle, cruising along. All of a sudden, there is this little white car flying behind me, coming up super fast. Gets right on my butt. I was feeling generous, so I slowed down, I waved them on, but they wouldn't pass me. Nobody has ever ridden my butt like that before. So I decided to show them the true definition of slow. And to start off, I wasn't driving slow at all. I was doing maybe 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit. So I slowed down to like 15 miles an hour. It was the longest like 15 miles I've ever gone in my entire life. So I was pretty pleased. It was pretty funny. It got to the point where we came up to a stop sign and I figured like, okay, hey, this person's been behind me for 15 miles and I've been going super slow, right? I figured we would be getting out and we would fight. So I pull up to the stop sign, I look in my mirror, and it is this little old lady inside that car. I could not freaking believe it. I was really tired after a long night. My fuse was really short, but I wasn't going to fight an old lady. I couldn't believe it. What's funny is that she followed me for quite a while, and then she pulled off into like a Dollar General or something like that. So it wasn't like some emergency. She wouldn't pass me. I don't know exactly what her problem was. I don't know if she didn't feel comfortable passing. She was right on my bumper the entire time. That was pretty funny. Oh man. The world is a crazy place, folks. It really is. So far, so good. The night's going on, everything's smooth. I've just been doing some squats, some push-ups. I'm about to get my snack out and eat that. That will help a lot with staying warm. Also, in a little bit, I'll get on my rain gear. I'll take some hand warmers, put those in my boots, put on my rain pants, rain jacket. That is a great way to hold in heat. When it comes to staying warm, there's a few surefire ways that you can go about doing so. And I showed you those in the previous episode. I'm going to repeat that in this episode. For the most part, there's not much to do, not much to talk about. It's all about just making it through the night. All right, folks, update time. It's almost 9 o'clock. And things have been relatively quiet. It has started to sprinkle a little bit. Still windy, but so far so good inside of this shelter. I've had a snack, basically been doing squats to stay warm, and I'm certainly staying warm. Right now, it really doesn't feel that cold. I would say inside of this, it's probably 40 degrees at least, maybe even a little bit higher than that. Outside, it's around, I don't know, 35 degrees, something like that. With the setup of this shelter, with this being a different location, I could have done things differently. So basically, I'm doing everything the exact same way that I did with the previous trip, and that's because I want to see just how well this product works, this piece of plastic, compared to the wind sack. As much as possible, of course. I'm doing everything the exact same way, but in truth, because this is a different location, there are different supplies available to me. Up here, I have the supplies. I could make a very nice bed, and I could be elevated off of the ground. So I wouldn't have to worry about the cold from the ground coming up. In the future, we will do additional survival overnight adventures, and I will show you all how to stay warm with such materials. As you all can see, I got the Mylar blanket out, and I'm using this on this side of the shelter here. This is where my door is at. The wind is beginning to shift just a little bit, so there's quite a bit of air coming through that door. I've sealed it as good as I can, but there is a nice little gap at the bottom, and that's okay because I need the airflow. So basically, I'm using this Mylar blanket just to kind of cover up and divert that wind as it's blowing. I was thinking about something I could talk about that I haven't told you all before. And I don't remember if I've mentioned this. I may have, like in passing very quickly. But many years ago, I was a practicing blacksmith. And I did that for maybe 6 months or so before I moved on to other things. But it was something that I liked quite a bit. I really enjoyed doing it. The biggest issue for me was my setup. It was so janky. It was one of those things where I didn't want to invest a lot of money, not knowing if it was something that I really liked to do or not. I found an anvil on Craigslist. It was a 100-pounder, and I went down to Asheville, North Carolina, and got it. Asheville, I don't like. That place is too big, too many people, too violent down there. Asheville, North Carolina is considered one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. I personally do not like going down there. Most people don't really like Asheville all that much. There is some nice things to do. There's a lot of great hiking out there, but like the city itself, no thank you. I began with the basics, pretty much where every blacksmith starts, and that's making jewelry. That is very common in the blacksmith world to make jewelry, so I was coming up with all sorts of like designs for like necklaces and whatnot, and I think I have a few pictures left over. I'll share some of those. So this is what I came up with. What do you all think? I loved blacksmithing. That was so much fun. The unfortunate thing is that I really didn't have the space to do it at my house. I don't have a garage or anything like that, or a workshop, so it was outside. It was one of those situations when the weather dictated whether or not I was going outside to practice blacksmithing or not. So, yeah, I did that for maybe 6 months. It was a ton of fun, and who knows, maybe in the future, when I have more time, maybe I have more space, I will pick that back up again. We shall see. Alright folks, it is almost midnight. I stepped outside of the shelter here. I had to use the bathroom, so my plan was just to stay in there as much as possible, but since it's not really raining all that much, I figured I'd step out. Back inside of the shelter, protected from the wind, protected from the moisture. It is nasty out there. The winds, I mean, definitely not as windy as the previous trip, but they're rocking. I mean, 20, 25 miles an hour for sure. Luckily, I'm sheltered in this one little section here of the forest. Just a little bit outside of this shelter, I mean, it is just rocking. I've spent the night doing push-ups and squats. I'm staying warm. I have not used my stove yet to heat up any water, but that point is coming soon. More than anything, that's going to make me more comfortable. The truth is, at these temperatures, it really isn't that bad right now, so yeah. I think I'm going to do some squats, do some more push-ups, get warmed up, and maybe turn the lights off for a second here and just try to get a little bit of sleep if I can. Usually I could sleep for like 10-15 minutes, wake up, do something to warm up, and then doze again. So that's the plan, everybody. That is the plan. So I guess I'll go ahead and turn the lights off. All right, I got some squats to do. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Whew, folks, we have made it. Ha ha ha. It is about 7 a.m. now, and it's damp. It is super, super damp. I tell you what, my legs just ache. All of that moisture just going right into my knees. At some point in time last night, it did switch over to sleep, but it didn't amount to anything. It didn't last very long, but it has been a very long night. I fell asleep maybe for about, I don't know, 30 minutes total for the entire night. Yeah, it's kind of funny, actually. So I'm sitting in this chair, and if I stretch my legs out, usually I have to put my weight on one leg. There's a little bit of a slope here, so like both legs out doesn't really work, so all the weight on one leg, I can sit here pretty comfortably. So I was sitting here, I fell asleep for maybe 10 minutes or so. So all of this weight on that one leg, I wake up, that leg is like 100% asleep. I'm sitting here, I'm shaking it, I'm getting some feeling back in it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like stand up, I'm gonna go outside of the shelter here and just walk around for a minute. Still half asleep, so I step out and I'm just kind of like, where on earth am I? And I'm just trying to think of like, what's over there? What's over here? I was so confused. Just standing right next to the tent, I'm like half asleep, half awake, conscious enough to know like, hey, don't walk anywhere. I could have easily walked off and gone who knows where. As far as the piece of plastic goes, this has worked incredibly well. This is, in many ways, much better than the Fjallraven wind sack. And again, folks, like around $10 for this, around 2 pounds for this. The wind sack, $150. I really dislike that product. I really do. It felt like the company made a product, never tested it out, because it simply does not make any sense. It's the Fjallraven wind sack, and the company claims that it will protect you from the wind, from the rain, from the snow. But it's not waterproof, it leaks like crazy, condensation in it is terrible. Plain and simple, it sucks. I mentioned this in the review, but it felt like, to me, like the marketing arm of Fjallraven was like, hey, you have to say this and this and this, we have to sell this product, so let's just tack on a whole bunch of crap. Let's say whatever we have to say to sell this product. That's what it felt like. If the company said, for a short period of time, this thing protects you from the wind, I would say, okay, I get it. I don't know who's going to buy it for $150, but I get it. Without a doubt, it's above freezing. There's no ice. There is quite a bit of moisture inside of this, but that's what I would expect. This is a piece of plastic after all. So there is quite a bit of condensation on the walls running down and whatnot, but hey, what do you expect? All in all, this has worked very well, super adaptable. I mean, with those clips, you can set this thing up in any way that you want to. This setup here was excellent. It took about 10 minutes to do, and I have stayed warm, blocked the wind. It's held in some heat. It's kept me dry. It has been a long night, though. It'd be so funny if that little old lady driving that white car rides my ass again. That'd be so funny. Seriously, folks, I've never had anybody drive so aggressively before. I mean, like inches away from me. She put up with like 15 miles an hour for 15 miles. I can't believe it. Oh man, I love that. So funny. Let's step outside for a second. 1, 2, let's go. Whew. All right. Outside of the tent now. It's a beautiful morning. Oh yeah. As far as last night goes, just as with the previous trip, it was a survival situation. I used the same principles that I spoke of in the previous trip to stay warm and to make it through the night. So make sure to check out that episode. There's a lot of good information in there. It's one of those situations where if you're ever stuck out in the wild, right? It doesn't matter the reason why. There's a million reasons why. I go over many different ways that you could stay warm. It's good information. Might keep you alive, folks. Now, one con to using something like this, it's pretty much a one-use thing, or at least it is with the 2mm plastic here. I don't think I tore any holes in it. It's close. It's very close. 2mm is not very thick. It's definitely not that strong. Let's go take a look at the forest real quick. Let's see if there's enough light to hike yet. It's pretty dark. It is way too early to go hiking through the woods. Too dark. And that's okay. I'm going to hop back inside of the tent, wait an hour, and then I'm going to hike out of here. Folks, I want to thank you very much for joining me for this trip. This was an interesting test. I really did want to compare the $150 wind sack to this $10 setup right here. I like this so much more. I really do. This is so much more adaptable. And the overall performance is just as good, if not better. Before the video ends, make sure to comment down below, what do you all think about a piece of plastic as an emergency shelter? Also, what do you all think about those clips? I like those quite a bit. Those are rather interesting. Thank you all again for watching this episode. Make sure to hit the thumbs up because it does help the channel. Be good, take care, strength and honor. I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything here, at least to stay alive. And the time that we share makes it all worthwhile. Got this place on our own. Do you feel that we got something strong? And I saw you walking the line, and the truth may come as a surprise that we I feel alive. You'll be the last one I think about. We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. And I saw